When shadows reveal truth, the signal that changed everything. Deep in the void between star systems, the Zephyrian Empire's monitoring station Obsidian Watch drifted silently through space. Its massive sensor arrays swept across the darkness, searching for threats to the Empire's expanding borders. For 3 centuries, the Zephyrians had ruled this sector of the galaxy with an iron fist, their purple-scaled warriors conquering world after world. Commander Nixa Threll stood before the main display screen, her forearms working across multiple control panels with practiced efficiency. Her golden eyes reflected the soft blue glow of the monitors as data streams flowed past. As the station's chief intelligence officer, she had seen countless ships pass through this region, but something felt different today. "Commander," called out sensor technician Gorix from his station. "I'm picking up an unusual energy signature. Grid section 7th Alpha, approximately 2 million kilometers from our position." Nixa's head crest flared with interest. "Define unusual, technician." "The energy pattern doesn't match any known drive system in our database. It's primitive yet somehow sophisticated at the same time." Across the command center, Admiral Kelix Vorthan turned from his tactical display. The veteran warrior's scales bore the scars of a dozen campaigns, and his presence commanded instant respect. "Show me," he growled in his deep voice. The main screen shifted to display the sensor readings. A small blip pulsed weakly against the starfield, barely registering on their instruments. The ship appeared to be drifting, possibly disabled. "Distance and configuration?" Admiral Vorthan asked. "Approximately 800 meters in length," Gorix reported. "The hull configuration is unlike anything in our records. It appears to be human." A strange silence fell over the command center. Humans were known throughout the galaxy as a young species from a backwater planet called Earth. They had barely achieved interstellar travel 50 years ago and were considered little more than curious primitives by most established civilizations. Nixa studied the readings more carefully. "If this is human technology, what's it doing in our territory?" Admiral Vorthan's eyes narrowed. "More importantly, why does its energy signature suggest it's been here for months?" The approach within an hour, Admiral Vorthan had dispatched 2 scout vessels to investigate the mysterious craft. The sleek Zephyrian ships approached cautiously, their pilots maintaining constant communication with Obsidian Watch. "Razor 1 to base," crackled the voice of Squadron Leader Vex through the comm system. "We have visual contact with the target vessel." On the main screen, the human ship came into focus. It was unlike any spacecraft the Zephyrians had encountered. Where their own ships were elegant curves of polished metal, this vessel was angular and aggressive. Its dark hull seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it, giving it an ominous appearance. "The ship shows no signs of life," reported Vex. "No energy emissions, no movement. It appears to be a derelict." Commander Nixa frowned. "Scan for life, signs and technology." "Scanning now." There was a pause. "This is strange. Our sensors are having difficulty penetrating the hull. The metal composition is unknown to our database." Admiral Vorthan leaned forward. "Can you dock with it?" "Negative, sir. The ship has no visible docking ports or airlocks that match our systems. We could attempt to cut through the hull, but..." Suddenly, every alarm on Obsidian Watch began blaring simultaneously. The main screen erupted in red warnings as sensor readings spiked across the board. "What's happening?" Vorthan shouted over the noise. Gorix's voice was tight with shock. "The human ship, sir. It's powering up." The awakening on the screen. The once dark human vessel blazed to life. Energy coursed through conduits along its hull, and what had appeared to be simple armor plating revealed itself as an intricate network of systems. Weapon ports opened like predatory eyes, and the ship's engines began to glow with an intense blue flame. "Razor 1, report," Admiral Vorthan commanded. Vex's voice was filled with disbelief. "Sir, the ship was completely dead moments ago. Now, it's showing energy output levels that rival our own battle cruisers." Commander Nixa worked frantically at her station. "Admiral, I'm detecting massive power fluctuations. This isn't just a ship coming online, it's been in some kind of stealth mode." The implications hit Vorthan like a physical blow. Stealth mode? For how long? Based on these readings, possibly months, maybe longer, the human ship began to move not with the awkward drift of a damaged vessel, but with purposeful, controlled navigation. It positioned itself between the two Zephyrian scouts, its weapons trained on both. "This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Terran vessel Nightfall," came a new voice over the communication channel. The accent was strange, the words spoken in perfect Zephyrian despite the alien origin. "Your scouts are in no immediate danger, but I suggest they maintain their current position." Admiral Vorthan stepped closer to the communications array. "Captain Chen, this is Admiral Kellex Vorthan of the Zephyrian Empire. You are in violation of our territorial boundaries." A sound that might have been laughter came through the speakers. "Admiral, with respect, you might want to check your territorial maps. This region has been neutral space for the past 15 years." Nixa quickly accessed the navigation database. Her golden eyes widened as she read the data. "Sir, she's correct. This system was reclassified as neutral territory after the Centauri Accords." The message Captain Chen's voice continued, calm and measured. "Admiral, I'm transmitting a data package to your station. I believe you'll find it enlightening." Within seconds, Nixa's console chimed with an incoming transmission. She opened the file and immediately gasped. "Admiral, you need to see this." The main screen filled with surveillance footage, crystal-clear images of Zephyrian military installations, fleet movements, and classified operations. But the shocking part wasn't what was shown, but when it was recorded. The timestamps revealed that humans had been monitoring Zephyrian activities for over 2 decades. "How did you obtain this information?" Vorthan demanded. "We've been watching, Admiral," Captain Chen replied. "Your empire has been expanding aggressively into sectors inhabited by peaceful species. The Androxy colonies you annexed last year, the Pelix mining worlds you claimed. We've been documenting everything." The Zephyrian admiral's scales rippled with anger. "You dare spy on the Empire? We dare protect the innocent," Chen replied, firmly. "Your recent campaigns have displaced millions of beings. Someone needed to keep track." Commander Nixa studied the data more closely. "Admiral, this information is incredibly detailed. It would have required a massive intelligence operation, or," Chen's voice carried a hint of amusement, "it would require being very good at staying hidden." The revelation, as if responding to some unseen signal, space around the Nightfall began to shimmer. One by one, more ships materialized from apparent nothingness. Sleek human vessels, each one different in design but unified in their predatory grace. "Stealth fleet," Nixa whispered. "They have an entire stealth fleet." Admiral Vorthan watched in stunned silence as 12 human ships took formation around his scouts. Each vessel appeared to be armed and ready for combat, yet they made no aggressive moves. "Captain Chen," Vorthan said carefully, "what do you want?" "Nothing from you, Admiral. We want something for the species you've been oppressing. The Androxy want their colonies back. The Pelix want compensation for their destroyed mining equipment. The Quellan refugees want safe passage to neutral space. And if we refuse?" There was a long pause before Chen answered. "Admiral, take a look at your long-range sensors." Nixa's hands flew across her controls, extending their sensor range to maximum. What she saw made her blood run cold. Across a dozen systems, human ships were revealing themselves. The stealth fleet wasn't just local, it was galactic in scope. "How many ships do you have?" Vorthan asked quietly. "Enough," Chen replied. "Admiral, we don't want war. We want justice. Your empire can continue to exist and even prosper, but the days of unchecked expansion are over." The choice on Obsidian Watch, the command crew worked in tense silence. Admiral Vorthan stood before the tactical display, studying the positions of the human vessels. His military mind calculated odds and strategies, but every scenario ended the same way. "Commander Threll," he said finally, "open a priority channel to High Command." Nixa established the connection, and moments later, the imposing figure of Supreme Admiral Korath appeared on the screen. The leader of the Zephyrian military was ancient even by their standards. His scales faded to silver with age. "Vorthan, what's the meaning of this emergency transmission?" "Supreme Admiral, we have a situation. The humans..." As Admiral Vorthan briefed his superior on the discovery, Nixa watched the human ships on her screens. They maintained perfect formation, weapons powered but not targeting. It was a display of overwhelming force held in check by discipline. Captain Chen's voice came through the speakers again. "Admiral Vorthan, I'm transmitting coordinates to your station. These locations represent refugee camps, temporary colonies, and safe zones we've established for displaced populations. Your empire's expansion has consequences. We're here to help clean up the aftermath." The coordinates appeared on Nixa's screen. Hundreds of locations across dozens of systems, each one marked with population numbers and resource requirements. The scale of the human operation was staggering. "You've been helping them?" Vorthan asked. "For 23 years, Chen confirmed. "Every world your empire has conquered, every population you've displaced, we've been there to help pick up the pieces." Supreme Admiral Korath's voice cut through the transmission. "Captain Chen, this is Supreme Admiral Korath. What are your intentions?" "The same as they've always been, Supreme Admiral, to ensure that smaller species have a chance to survive and thrive. Your empire doesn't have to be our enemy, but it can no longer be their oppressor." The network revealed as the conversation continued. More shocking revelations emerged. The humans had not only been monitoring Zephyrian activities, but had been actively involved in galactic affairs for decades. They had prevented 3 potential genocides, facilitated peace negotiations between warring species, and established a network of safe havens for refugees. The Terran Diplomatic Corps has been in operation since 2387, Chen explained. "We realized early that humanity's role in the galaxy wouldn't be as conquerors, but as protectors." Nixa pulled up historical records, cross-referencing them with the human timeline. "Admiral, multiple unexplained equipment failures during our campaigns, technical malfunctions that prevented orbital bombardments." "Were not malfunctions," Chen finished. "We've been very busy." The scope of human influence became clear. Wars that had mysteriously ended in stalemate, supply convoys that had vanished without a trace, intelligence leaks that had prevented massacres, all part of a coordinated effort to limit the damage caused by aggressive expansion. "Why reveal yourselves now?" Vorthan asked. "Because you are planning something big," Chen replied. "Operation Stellar Crown, the complete annexation of the Vega sector. 200 billion beings live in that region, Admiral. We couldn't let that happen." Supreme Admiral Korath's expression darkened. "How did you learn of Operation Stellar Crown?" "We've had people in your command structure for 15 years, Chen said matter-of-factly. "Some of your own officers have been working with us." The ultimatum, the bridge of Obsidian Watch, fell silent as the implications sank in. The Zephyrian Empire, proud rulers of hundreds of worlds, had been outmaneuvered by a species they had considered primitive. "What happens now?" Korath demanded. Captain Chen's response was measured and diplomatic. "Now, we work together. The Empire can maintain its current territories, but expansion ends today. Displaced populations receive reparations and the right to return to their homeworlds. War crimes are investigated and prosecuted. And if we refuse, then you'll discover that the 12 ships you can see represent less than 1% of our total fleet." As if to emphasize the point, the human ships began transmitting power signatures. Each vessel showed energy outputs that exceeded Zephyrian battle cruisers, and their weapon systems were beyond anything in the Empire's arsenal. Commander Nixa ran calculations on her tactical computer. "Admiral, if these readings are accurate, a single human ship could engage 3 of our cruisers simultaneously." "They're accurate," Chen confirmed, apparently monitoring their communications. "But Admiral, we'd prefer not to demonstrate that capability." The decision point Supreme Admiral Korath studied the tactical displays for long minutes. His silver scales rippled with the weight of decision. Around him, the high command of the Zephyrian Empire awaited his word. "Captain Chen," he said finally, "you present us with an ultimatum dressed as diplomacy. I present you with a choice, Supreme Admiral. Continue down the path of expansion and face the consequences, or join us in building a galaxy where all species can coexist. Korath's ancient eyes narrowed. And what guarantee do we have that humanity won't simply replace us as the dominant power? The fact that we could have done so 20 years ago, Chen replied. We've had the capability to end your empire since first contact. Instead, we chose to limit its excesses while allowing it to survive. Admiral Vorthon stepped forward. Supreme Admiral, request permission to speak freely. Korath nodded. Sir, they're offering us a way to save face while preventing a war we cannot win. The evidence suggests they've been protecting smaller species while allowing us to maintain our core territories. It's honorable. The old Admiral's expression softened slightly. You respect them, Vorthon. I respect their restraint, sir, and their capabilities. The new reality, Captain Chen's voice filled the silence. Gentlemen, I'm transmitting detailed proposals for refugee resettlement, territorial boundaries, and cooperative security arrangements. Review them at your convenience. And in the meantime? Korath asked. In the meantime, my ships will continue their patrols. The galaxy is a dangerous place, Supreme Admiral. Pirates, rogue nations, ancient automated weapons, there's plenty of real threats to keep us all busy. Commander Nixa accessed the transmitted files. Page after page of detailed plans, resource allocations, and diplomatic frameworks. Admiral, this is incredibly comprehensive. They've thought of everything. We've had time to plan, Chen acknowledged. The question now is whether the Zephyrian Empire wants to be part of the solution or remain part of the problem. As the human ships began to fade back into stealth mode, Captain Chen delivered one final message. Admiral Vorthon, Commander Threll, it's been a pleasure meeting you both. I hope our next conversation will be under more pleasant circumstances. The nightfall was the last to vanish, leaving only empty space where moments before a fleet had been visible. Admiral Vorthon stared at the empty stars, his mind reeling from everything he had learned. In the span of a few hours, his understanding of humanity and their place in the galaxy had been completely overturned. Commander, he said quietly, begin preparations for a full briefing to the High Council. Everything has changed. As Obsidian, Watch continued its patrol through the void. Its crew knew they had witnessed something extraordinary. Humanity had revealed itself not as conquerors, but as guardians. The galaxy would never be the same. The fleet that shouldn't exist. The Council of War 3 days after the encounter at Obsidian Watch, the highest levels of the Zephyrian Empire gathered in the Grand War Chamber on the capital world of Zephyros Prime. The massive domed hall had witnessed centuries of military planning, but never had the assembled admirals and generals faced a threat quite like this. Supreme Admiral Korath stood at the center of the chamber, his silver scales catching the light from the holographic displays surrounding him. Around the circular amphitheater, dozens of the Empire's most senior military commanders waited in tense silence. What we learned 3 days ago changes everything, Korath began, his voice echoing through the chamber. For over 2 decades, we have been operating under the illusion that we were the dominant military power in this sector. Admiral Vorthon activated a holographic display showing the positions where human ships had revealed themselves. Red dots appeared across multiple star systems, each one representing a contact point. The humans didn't just have a single stealth fleet, Vorthon explained. They have surveillance and interdiction capabilities spanning 17 sectors. Every major military operation we've conducted in the past 20 years has been observed and, when necessary, disrupted. Fleet Admiral Korvex, commander of the 3rd Battle Group, leaned forward. Are you telling us they've been manipulating our campaigns? I'm telling you they've been limiting our casualties. Vorthon replied grimly. Equipment failures that prevented orbital bombardments, supply disruptions that forced us to accept surrenders instead of destroying enemy forces, intelligence leaks that made us reconsider certain operations, all human intervention. A murmur of disbelief rippled through the chamber. The intelligence briefing commander Nixa Threll stepped forward, carrying a datapad containing weeks of analysis. Supreme Admiral, we've completed our review of human activities. The results are extraordinary. She activated another display showing a timeline of galactic conflicts over the past 2 decades. In 2391, the Androxy-Tellan War ended abruptly when both sides' communication networks mysteriously synchronized, allowing for direct negotiation. In 2394, the pirate fleet terrorizing the Outer Rim disappeared overnight. In 2397, the slave markets on Corinth Station were shut down by an anonymous tip that led authorities directly to the operation. "Your point, Commander?" asked General Thisk, head of ground forces. "My point, General, is that in every case, detailed analysis reveals subtle signs of human involvement. They've been the invisible hand maintaining stability in this region of space." Supreme Admiral Korath studied the data with growing amazement. "Show me the Pelix incident." Nixa pulled up records from 18 months ago. "When we moved to claim the Pelix mining worlds, the operation was supposed to be a quick annexation. Instead, we encountered unexpected technical difficulties. Mining equipment malfunctioned, transport ships developed engine problems, and the local population had somehow been evacuated to safety before our arrival. We assumed it was Pelix resistance," Admiral Vorthan added. "Now we know better." The scope of human operations, as the briefing continued, the true extent of human involvement became clear. They had prevented at least 7 potential genocides, facilitated peace agreements between dozens of species, and maintained a network of refugee camps and colonies that housed over 50 million displaced beings. "How did we miss this?" demanded Fleet Admiral Korvex. "Because they wanted us to miss it," replied Intelligence Chief Sorax, an ancient Zephyrian whose scales had turned deep blue with age. "Their stealth technology is beyond our capabilities. Their intelligence network is more sophisticated than our own. And most importantly, they've been very careful to make their interventions look like natural occurrences." Korath's expression was grim. "What about Operation Stellar Crown?" The chamber fell silent. Operation Stellar Crown had been the Empire's most classified project, a coordinated annexation of the entire Vega sector that would have brought 200 billion beings under Zephyrian rule. Sorax consulted his datapad. "Cancelled as of yesterday, Supreme Admiral. The humans somehow obtained complete operational details including troop movements, supply chains, and communication protocols." "From where?" "We're still investigating, but preliminary evidence suggests they have assets within our own command structure." The implications sent a chill through the assembled officers. If humans had infiltrated the highest levels of Zephyrian military command, then no operation was secure. Captain Chen's arrival, as the council debated their options, an aide approached. "Supreme Admiral Korath." "Sir, we're receiving a transmission request. It's from Captain Chen of the human vessel Nightfall." Korath nodded grimly. "Put her through." The central holographic display shimmered and resolved into the image of a human female. Captain Sarah Chen appeared to be in her 40s, with short dark hair and intelligent brown eyes. She wore a simple blue uniform with minimal decorations, projecting an air of professional competence rather than military pomp. "Supreme Admiral Korath," she said with a respectful nod. "Thank you for accepting my transmission." "Captain Chen, I assume you're aware that we're currently discussing how to respond to your revelation." Chen smiled slightly. "I would be surprised if you weren't. May I offer some clarification that might assist in your deliberations?" Korath gestured for her to continue. "First, I want to address the concern about infiltration. We don't have spies in your command structure in the traditional sense. We have officers who chose to work with us because they believed it was the right thing to do." Admiral Vorthan leaned forward. "You're saying our own people betrayed us?" "I'm saying some of your people chose a higher loyalty," Chen replied calmly. "When faced with orders to commit atrocities, they found another path." "The human perspective, Chen," continued her explanation, her voice measured and diplomatic. "Gentlemen, humanity didn't set out to become galactic peacekeepers. When we first achieved interstellar travel, we expected to find a universe full of advanced civilizations working together. Instead, we found endless cycles of conquest and oppression." She gestured, and the display shifted to show images of refugee camps, destroyed worlds, and displaced populations. The galaxy is full of species that never developed strong militaries because they focused on art, science, or philosophy. When aggressive empires like yours encounter them, The results are predictable. You paint us as monsters, Supreme Admiral, Korath said quietly. No, sir. I paint you as a military power that has lost sight of its moral responsibilities. The Zephyrian Empire has noble traditions, honor in battle, protection of allies, respect for worthy opponents. But those traditions have been abandoned in favor of pure expansion. Admiral Vorthon studied Chen's expression. What changed? Why reveal yourselves now? Because Operation Stellar Crown crossed a line. 200 billion beings, Supreme Admiral. Many of them species that have never known war. We couldn't allow it to proceed. The demonstration fleet Admiral Korvex, who had remained skeptical throughout the discussion, finally spoke up. Captain Chen, you make impressive claims about human capabilities, but talk is easy. How do we know you can back up your threats? Chen's expression didn't change. Would you like a demonstration, Fleet Admiral? Before Korvex could respond, alarms began sounding throughout the war chamber. A tactical officer rushed to his station, checking readings with growing alarm. Supreme Admiral, he called out, we're detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. Multiple contacts, extremely powerful, closing on our position. The main display shifted to show the space around Zephyros Prime. One by one, enormous ships materialized from apparent nothingness. Not the sleek vessels they had seen at Obsidian Watch, but massive battleships that dwarfed even the Empire's largest dreadnoughts. Fleet Admiral Korvex, Chen said politely. Meet Battle Group 7 of the Terran Defense Fleet. The assembled Zephyrian officers stared in stunned silence at the display. 12 massive human warships hung in space around their homeworld, their weapons powered but not targeted. How long have they been there? Korath asked quietly. 3 hours, Chen replied. They were already in position when I requested this meeting. The true fleet, as the Zephyrian military leaders watched, more human vessels continued to appear. Destroyers, cruisers, carriers, and support ships materialized throughout the system. Within minutes, over 100 human warships were visible on their sensors. This is impossible, whispered Fleet Admiral Korvex. Our defense grid should have detected them. Your defense grid is excellent, Chen acknowledged, but it's designed to detect conventional ships using conventional technology. We've been perfecting stealth systems for over 30 years. Intelligence Chief Sorax worked frantically at his station. Supreme Admiral, I'm detecting similar fleet formations in 17 other systems. They're not just here, they're everywhere. Chen nodded. The Terran Defense Fleet maintains a presence in every major system in this region of space. We've been your silent guardians for 2 decades. The magnitude of the revelation hit home. The Zephyrian Empire, which had considered itself the dominant military power in their sector, had been operating under the watchful eye of a far superior force. Why? Supreme Admiral Korath asked. Why protect us? Why not simply conquer us? Yourself? Because conquest wasn't our goal, Chen replied. Stability was. A galaxy where all species can develop and thrive according to their own nature. The offer Captain Chen's image gestured, and the display changed to show detailed star charts. Supreme Admiral, I'm transmitting a proposal for your consideration. The Terran Commonwealth is prepared to offer the Zephyrian Empire a formal alliance. The terms appeared on screens throughout the chamber. Rather than the harsh surrender document they might have expected, it was a comprehensive partnership agreement. Under this alliance, Chen explained, the Empire would retain sovereignty over its current core territories. In exchange, you would work with us to maintain regional stability and assist in refugee resettlement. Admiral Vorthon studied the terms carefully. This is generous. It's practical, Chen corrected. The Zephyrian military is formidable when properly directed. Your warrior traditions, combined with human technology and intelligence capabilities, could make this region of space the most stable and prosperous in the galaxy. Fleet Admiral Korvex remained skeptical. And if we refuse? Chen's expression grew serious. Then we continue as we have been, limiting your expansion and protecting those who cannot protect themselves. But that benefits no one in the long term. The decision Supreme Admiral Korath studied the alliance proposal for long minutes. Around him, the War Council waited in tense silence. The human fleet hung in space around their world, a reminder of capabilities they had never suspected. "Captain Chen," Korath said finally, "you're asking us to abandon centuries of imperial expansion. I'm asking you to redirect that expansion toward worthy goals. There are entire regions of space threatened by pirates, rogue AI systems, and ancient automated weapons. The galaxy needs protectors, not conquerors." General Fisk leaned forward. "You're offering us a chance to be heroes rather than villains." "I'm offering you a chance to be what you were meant to be," Chen replied. "The Zephyrian warrior code speaks of honor in battle and protection of the innocent. This alliance would let you live up to those ideals." Commander Nixa Threll had been analyzing the proposal's technical aspects. "Supreme Admiral, the technology. Sharing provisions alone would advance our capabilities by decades, and the Joint Operations section outlines missions that would make full use of our military strengths." The new Path Admiral Vorthon stood up. "Supreme Admiral, I recommend acceptance. We've been shown a path that preserves our honor while serving a greater purpose." Around the chamber, other officers began nodding agreement. The alternative, continued conflict with a superior force, offered no real benefits. "Supreme Admiral." Korath looked at the human fleet display one more time, then turned to Captain Chen. "Captain, I accept your proposal in principle. We'll need time to work out the details." Chen smiled. "Of course, I'll have our diplomatic corps contact your government to begin formal negotiations. In the meantime, our fleets will continue their current missions. And those missions are? Keeping the peace, Supreme Admiral. The same thing we've been doing for 20 years. The future revealed. As the meeting concluded, Captain Chen offered one final revelation. "Supreme Admiral, there's something else you should know. The fleet you see here, Battle Group 7, represents approximately 2% of total Terran defense fleet strength." The Zephyrian officers exchanged glances of disbelief. "How many ships do you have?" Korath asked quietly. "Enough to patrol 50 sectors simultaneously," Chen replied. "Enough to maintain peace across a significant portion of the galaxy, and enough to handle threats that neither of our peoples have encountered yet." Intelligence Chief Sorax leaned forward. "What kind of threats?" Chen's expression grew distant. "There are things in the deep void, Supreme Admiral. Ancient evils stirring to life. Machine intelligences that view all organic life as a threat. Entire species driven mad by isolation and dark science. The galaxy is vast, and not all of its inhabitants are benevolent." The implication was clear. Humanity had been preparing not just to keep peace between existing civilizations, but to defend against external threats that others hadn't even imagined. The new alliance, as the human fleet, began to fade back into stealth mode. Captain Chen delivered her final message. "Supreme Admiral, welcome to the larger universe. Your people have much to contribute to galactic civilization. We look forward to working together." The transmission ended, leaving the Zephyrian War Council in contemplative silence. Admiral Vorthon was the first to speak. "Supreme Admiral, I believe we've just witnessed the end of one era and the beginning of another." Korath nodded slowly. "Indeed. Commander Threll, begin drafting our acceptance of the alliance proposal. General Fisk, start reviewing our forces for potential joint operations." As the council began planning for their new future, Supreme Admiral Korath stood before the display showing empty space where the human fleet had been. His people had set out to conquer the galaxy, and instead had discovered something far more valuable, a purpose worthy of their warrior heritage. The Zephyrian Empire would endure, but it would never be the same. And perhaps, Korath reflected, that was exactly what the galaxy needed. Epilogue. The Hidden Truth Months. Later, as the alliance between humanity and the Zephyrian Empire grew stronger, Admiral Vorthon learned one final secret during a private meeting with Captain Chen. "The fleet that appeared at Zephyros Prime," he said. "You called it Battle Group 7. How many battle groups does humanity actually have?" Chen smiled. "Admiral, Battle Group 7 was one of our training fleets. New crews, older ships primarily, used for patrol and escort duty. Vorthon felt his scales ripple with shock. Training fleet? The galaxy is a dangerous place, Admiral. We've learned to be prepared for anything. As Vorthon contemplated the implications, he realized that humanity's role as galactic guardians was far more extensive than anyone had imagined. They weren't just keeping peace. They were maintaining a balance that allowed thousands of species to thrive. And somewhere in the depths of space, the true strength of humanity remained hidden, watching and waiting for whatever challenges the universe might bring.